Hey everyone, it's John here, and in this video we're going to take a look at how we can dynamically add missing columns into our Power Queries. So here I've got some source data, and then I've got a query that uses that source data and does some transformation. So it takes these three email columns here and then combines it into a single column. Now what happens if the next time in our source data this column here is missing, or any one of these columns is missing? Let's try that out. If we right click and delete this column and then try and refresh our query, then we're going to get this error here. So the column email 3 of the table wasn't found. And I'm just going to undo that. So let's see how we can avoid that by dynamically adding back whatever column is missing from our query. So to do that, I'm going to go to Get Data and I'm going to open up our Power Query editor. Then we're going to use a new option in Power Query for Excel. So up in the Home tab, there's a new option here, Enter Data. So this has been in Power BI for quite a while, but has just come into Excel's Power Query just recently. And this is going to allow you to hard code data tables into your queries. So let's use that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add a table of all the column header names that our table should have. So let's start with ID, name, email 1, email 2, and email 3. And let's just call this table column names and press OK. And then we have a new data table in our Power Query editor, and this table of data is saved in our query itself, so there is no external source of data for this. And then what we're going to do with this is do a little bit of transformation. So let's go to the Transform tab, and we're going to transpose this so that we have a single row of values here. And then we're also going to promote that single row into our header columns. So now we have an empty table with the correct column names that we need for our source data in our other query here. And then I'm just going to correct these to what they should be. So that will be a whole number. And then all these guys here will be text values. And now I'm going to go back to my actual transformation or query here. And then the first step where I reference any column names is this change data type step here. So you can see that I'm referencing the email 1, 2, and 3 column. So before that, we're going to have to do something to add those into our query. And the way we're going to do that is to use the append action. So append is going to add any rows that are missing because we have them in our column names data here. So if we append this table to our data query, then it's going to dynamically add any of those missing columns into the query for us. So let's go back to our source step and let's go to the Home tab and let's use this action here, append queries, and we're going to append queries. Let's insert that. And in this case, we're just appending two tables, so our source data to our column names table. And let's go to the end step, and that query still works. Let's try closing and loading that. And now let's try deleting one of these columns. So again, let's delete email 3. And let's right click and refresh. And now our query works. And let's just go into our data query and see this in action. So let's go back to our source step. And I'm just going to refresh this preview. And you can see that we only have email 1 and email 2 now. Email 3 is missing. But when we append our other table, then that comes back and just has null values in it now. So that's how we can dynamically add back missing columns in Power Query. We can use the append action to do that. And if we set up a table with all the column names that our data is supposed to have, then we can append that to our data to ensure that all the columns are there. And then our query is not going to fail if it references any of those columns. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel for future Excel videos like this one. That's it for this video. We'll see you in the next one.